because this is a court of law. Don't be intimidated if you don't know anything about Jane Elkins. Hardly anybody knows about Jane. Like all slaves, she didn't even have the chance to have her own name. Probably she belonged to one of the Elkins families of Dallas, as we know there were several lawyers by that name in 1853. We do have a record of her being sold for $400 in 1846. Her trial for murder in 1853 indicated her value was $700, and she was accused of murder. Her only claim to being known for anything is that she was recorded as the first woman hanged in Texas. They hanged her in the middle of Dallas, where the old red courthouse stands today, and they buried her there. Her grave was desecrated, and her bones disappeared for all time. The only record of the trial is a transcript at the Dallas Library. It says that Jane did not speak at all. But that seems impossible, because a woman with the courage to stand up and fight her slave master would surely have had the courage to speak at her trial. Almost nobody remembers Jane up to now, and nobody has even asked the most important question of all, which is, why?
Does anyone want to know? Does anyone want to know? Does anyone want to know? Does anyone want to know why?
Hear ye, hear ye. The court is now in session. Judge John H. Reagan presiding. All rise. All rise.
I'm Judge John H. Reagan of Dallas County, dispensing justice throughout history. I'm good to all white men, for they are my brothers. I'm a man of the people, except for them others. Bring in Sheriff Trezevant C. Haupt. Oh, I am the sheriff of Dallas County. I do what I want, and nobody stops me. Don't try to resist. Don't put up a fight, and I'll treat you fair, just as long as you're white.
Don't touch me! Don't touch me! Just make him keep his hands off me! Don't you dare touch me!
Everybody sit down. Make her sit down. Now, let it be known that this is a fair court, and that this negress here is going to have a fair trial. She is accused of murdering Master Wisdom, who was a slave owner in charge of her over in Farmer's Branch. On the night of May 1st, 1853, she did murder him. How do you plead?
Judge, everybody knows I killed Master Wisdom. The only thing that y'all need to know is he was having a pleasant dream and I just helped put him to sleep.
So, tell us, is that the last thing that happened?
You don't need to worry about that. You need to know what happened before that.
And is this the axe that you used, this well-sharpened axe, to kill Master Wisdom?
Well, why don't you let me see it, John?
Look out!
Let me see it! Give it to me!
Get her, Sheriff! For goodness sakes! Oh, that was close. Let the record show that you did with malice and aforethought murder wisdom. You are chattel property in Dallas County. Let the record show that your total value is $700. So your owners are going to get $350. That's Texas law.
Get your hands off me!
Let the record show that your legal and official owner is not objecting to this trial and my decision. Let the record show that you were rented out to Mr. Wisdom of Farmers Branch, and on the night of May 1st, 1853, you did with malice and aforethought murder said Wisdom with this well-sharpened axe. Do you have anything to say before I sentence you? Wait a minute, before you even start. I'll let you know that we're not going to write anything down that you say, because you have no rights that any white man has to listen to. Now let the record show
Don't you touch
this
me!
negress has nothing to say
Keep your hands
and
off me!
did not say anything. We will forget this Jane Elkins just as soon as we finish hanging her.
Does anybody want to know? Does anybody want to know?
Oh.
Does anybody want to know?
I do what I want.
Does anybody want to
Don't try to
know?
resist.
This fencing.
Don't put
Does
up a fight. I'll
anybody
treat you
want
fair.
to know?
Just as long as you're
Right.
Does anybody want to know? Why?
Of course, the purpose of this operetta is to introduce Jane Elkins in the context of slavery, women's rights, and what passed for, and what still passes for justice. Does anyone in the audience have any questions or comments?
We're supposed to clap when we get off here.
Ah, okay.
powerful.
Now we can get out of this outfit, and we can put it in the audience.
Yeah.
Was that a real question about?
Yeah, that's, I think I jumped in too soon. They hadn't taken their bow deal. But yeah, we want to get questions and comments. Do you have something there?
I have a question. Yeah, because I only know the answer to this because Olinka shared it with me, but are we going to share the, okay, before what happened? Okay.
Thank y'all for coming. As Judge Reagan stated, Jane was the first woman and the first black woman in the state of Texas to be hanged for killing John Wisdom. And she shows up in the court records for the first time when she's 14. And then we see her again in 1853. She was rented out several times. She was sold at 14 and possibly with a child. So we see her again in 1853, and she's been rented out to a Master Wisdom in Farmers Branch to take care of his two children. And in the process of that, she killed him with a double-bladed axe, and she's the one that called the sheriff. So the transcripts reads that, like Mr. Lantz said, she never said anything in court. It says that she basically kind of slept. But we do know that she was hanged, and her body was buried on the Red Courthouse grounds, and then her body was dug up for medical experiments. So that is what we know about Jane. Mr. Tresvant, my jailer, he was a horrible man. He was an alcoholic, and he was abusive, and he wound up being killed at the courthouse.
In a gunfight.
In a gunfight.
Oh.
And Mr. Reagan supported the Confederacy, and he wound up going to Confederate prison for doing what he did. But Gene has to kind of tell you a little bit how he came up with the idea here.
Well, I just read the transcript. You can get it. It's down at the library. And I thought it was so strange that it said that Jane Elkins did not say a word in her murder trial. And I went to bed thinking about it. I was out of town on a trip somewhere, and I woke up that morning and said, she must have said something, and that's what I'm going to write a play about. And the center of the play is going to be her saying, doesn't anybody want to know?
Yes.
Because she didn't get to ask that during the trial, or at least it wasn't written. And nobody has asked ever since. This is 1853. Doesn't anybody want to know? Of course, I didn't really have much of an idea how this was going to go until I met her. This is her play, really, because she's made it her own. But before I conclude, I want to ask you some questions to think about. For one thing, why did she kill Wisdom? For another thing, was she pregnant? For another thing, did she have any children? And these are things that we would like to know. Now, Jane has already told you what happened to the judge and what happened to Jane. What happened to John H. Reagan was that he was the Postmaster General for the Confederacy, and after the Civil War, he was in prison for a short while. So that's what happened to the other characters.
And there was a school named after him for a while.
Over by my house, the John H. Reagan Elementary School.
And there's
that
a
was
street
only
also.
changed. That was only changed this past year. So we're making a little progress. So I ask you, was she pregnant? And why did they dig her up? How many kids did she have? Think about it.
Yeah.
Anybody want to venture a guess? Because we're all guessing.
How old was she again when she was killed?
How old?
We see her, 1853. First time we see her when she's like 14, so she might have been in her 20s when she was hanged. So when I was reading the transcript, it said that she had a child with her when they arrested her.
I'm gonna guess 6 children. A child of you.
Oh, yeah, that's probably right.
Oh, she has 6 kids?
So
I'm just guessing.
So if you read this book called Celia, a Slave, she also killed her slave master, John Newsom. And she had children by him, so basically she killed her children's father. But he purchased her when she was 14 years of age. And he raped her the same night that he purchased her. And she had 2 children by him, and she was pregnant with another one. And he came into her cabin, and she had told him to leave her alone. And he persisted. And so she chopped him up and put him into the fireplace.
Wow. Right on.
He had it coming.
She chopped him